Welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or my list and sideboard guides before tournaments, check out Patreon or the YouTube membership program. This channel is made possible by these amazing sponsors. Check out all their links in the video description below. Once again, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic. Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing some Legacy at the request of Patreon subscriber CTK. And we have the new hotness in our digital hands. This is Faerie Mastermind. This is the World Championship card from Yuta Takahashi at Vendilion on Twitter. That's how serious he is about fairies. He loves fairies. He's also a big Vintage and Legacy player and has been for quite some time. A great world champion for the Eternal community because he plays the formats that we love, and if he just so happens to win the World Championship and get to design a card, it's one that's going to be playable in our formats. So let's go, Faerie Mastermind. This thing, if you haven't seen it yet, 2 mana, 2/1, flash flying, 1 and a blue. Whenever an opponent draws their second card each turn, you draw a card, and for 4, each player draws a card. This does a lot of very cool things. On the surface, it's a 2/1 flash flyer. That's not to be underestimated. Many games in the history of Magic have been determined by Snapcaster Mage in Ambush Viper mode, where it just comes into play as a 2/1 and attacks for 20 in a control mirror where everybody's fighting over bigger stuff while he gets his pound of flesh every turn. Faerie Mastermind does the same thing, but with flying attached. It has a passive ability where whenever an opponent draws their second card each turn, you draw a card. So your opponent goes to their turn, casts Ponder, you flash in Faerie Mastermind. When Ponder resolves, you get a card too. If they cast Brainstorm ever, you get a card too. If you have more than one of these, you get 2 cards. So it scales beautifully. It's not a prison piece the way Narset or Hullbreach are. Your opponent will still get to fully resolve their effect. But you getting a card too on top of a cheap threat that you want to play anyway, this is just a beautiful pile of efficiency on one Magic card. And then at the bottom, I don't know how much this is flavor text or if it's super real that games devolve into activating the bottom ability, but 3 and a blue, each player draws a card. This, of course, if you activate it on your opponent's turn, you will each draw a card, and because your opponent drew their second card in a turn, you draw another card. So it's kind of like 3 and a blue, your opponent draws 1, you draw 2. And if you happen to have a Narset in play, you can just spam that on their turn, and you get as many cards as you like, and they don't get any. That's the card on its surface. The card in context is very exciting because Jeskai has gotten a completely fair bad rap over the past several years, basically since War of the Spark came out, that it's just an awkward pile of 3-drops, and you don't have anything good to do with 2 mana. There's lots of good ones. You have Brainstorm, Ponder, Swords of Plowshares, all that sort of stuff. Your 3s, you get all the Planeswalkers, Monastery Mentor, even Snapcaster Mage is usually a 3 if you're casting a spell out of it. We haven't had a really good thing to do on 2 mana proactively in this deck before, and now we do, and it's a very good one. The closest thing we've had in the past is Stoneforge Mystic, which is a great, powerful, proactive 2-drop, don't get me wrong, but it's a different kind of thing. It forces a lot of deck building space because you need to play equipment, and it kind of changes the texture of the game. Faerie Mastermind having flash is so insane because you can just hold up Spell Pierce, Swords to Plowshares, and if they don't do anything you need to react to, you just drop your creature in instead. So nuts. This list is 73 of the 75 that Ozymandias, that's Matthew Vuk, won the Legacy Challenge with last weekend. The 2 cards I changed were I cut 1 Force Negation and 1 Spell Pierce for Narset number 4 and 1 Days Undoing. Matthew did not have the Days Undoing combo in his build. He was getting it done fair and square with 2/1 beatdown. And I think that's fine. I'm into that. But I had a coaching session with somebody who was working on this deck who wanted to incorporate Days Undoing, and then CTK, who sponsored this league independently, also asked me to include Days Undoing. So that's 2 for 2 on people I've talked to about this deck, thinking that it wants Days Undoing. I personally am not afraid of 2-1 beatdown and just committing to getting the game 1 in 10 attacks, or more if you plow anything ever. But I understand wanting an eject button, a way to close the door. Legacy's powerful, cards are powerful, any top deck can kill you, so Days Undoing makes some sense, especially since we're playing a boat of Narsets anyway. And other than the Faerie Mastermind, the new card, this is a pretty standard Jeskai Narset to Faerie Planeswalker pile. Let's go do it. This is CTK's Mastermind Undoing, heavily inspired by Ozymandias. I'm on the draw in round 1 with 2 lands, some interaction. I'm going to keep... I don't have a Yuta yet, but I'll find him. Oh dear. A Lion's Eye Diamond strategy. 2 Lion's Eye Diamonds. Glad I didn't force the first one. Oh no. Or Madness. Or... oh, okay. Well... I'm going to let this happen and hope I keep my Force of Will. Obviously, Force of Will hit the graveyard immediately. I was hoping to catch something on the Lion's Eye Diamond connect, but now we're just dead. Okay, some Madness for me. If they have any second creature, which is basically impossible not to at this point. Yeah. I really wanted to force the Angie's Ravager. That's the game I wanted to play. And... we're very dead. There's no Terminus in this deck. Okay. We do not need to play this out. Teferi is a game breaker if it gets into play, but obviously that's a big ask. Containment Priest stops Vengevine specifically. It doesn't stop Madness cards because they're actually cast, but turning off Vengevine is kind of enough. I don't know if I want Surgical or how many. Staticaster is actually pretty dope. That sweeps up any number of Lizards. And a lot of these games, if you do survive the initial blast, you end up getting picked apart by just 1-drop Lizards. Force of Negation hits Lion's Eye Diamond or one of the enabler spells. It doesn't hit any of the payoffs. Endless Dragon is a body I can put into play. Dress Down can fog, kind of like knock haste off of their creatures, but it's not... doesn't actually stop anything the deck does. I like Narset against the deck that relies on drawing and discarding cards. This is very much a Faithless Looting deck. I like all of my white removal. I like Spell Pierce. Maybe I don't need Undoing. Like, I'm either going to win this game or I'm not. And it's going to happen very quickly. I don't think putting together a clunky 6-mana combo is the way forward. I like the body on Timeless Dragon. Snapcaster is more white removal spells, and it's a body. And I hate to say it, but it looks like actually Yuta needs to be trimmed a little bit here. I can see shaving some Narsets as well. It's a fine way to transition into the mid-game, but we need to get there first. Okay, I'm cutting 2 Narsets to make room for these things. There's not room for Surgicals. I may reconsider it on the draw for game 3. I'm going to keep this one. I have Force of Will, white removal, land, a sideboard card, Ponder. Let's do it. If I had known the matchup, I probably would have forced the first LED, and I would have gotten blown out because they had 2 of them. But this is a matchup where you generally just force whatever enabler you see. Okay, cool. Got another land Staticaster in there that's a ways away from being cast, but I do like Force Blue card bridging the gap into Containment Priest. Here's the test. Okay, please don't have 2 of these. I'm gonna force this. Oh yeah, just passing the turn. That's what you like to see. I'm glad I didn't force it in the game they had 2, and I look like a friggin' genius right now. If I do say so myself. Containment Priest is good against Vengevine. Drawing Mystic Sanctuary, which is not really a card that I want. Just gonna plop the Priest in here. Gotta start pushing for damage at some point. This turns on a Firestorm or whatever. I guess they got me. Cracking some fetches in response. Can they instant speed a Vengevine somehow? What is this? Okay. Weird. They were just fetching. Fair enough. I got a Brainstorm here. I'd rather do anything else than play a tap Mystic Sanctuary. Though I guess that's what's happening anyway. Put back Timeless Dragon and Teferi. This leaves Force blue card in my hand. I can play Teferi next turn. If I shut off their Madness cards, they just can't do anything. Force blue card, Swords to Plowshares, bridging the gap into Teferi Time Raveler next turn. That's the game plan. And if somehow this Staticaster is still in my hand 3 turns from now, Timeless Dragon can get Plateau to cast it. Kind of expecting just like a heads up Angie's Ravager here. They have not really done anything to this point. Look at that. Okay, I can keep my Plow, just play Teferi, bounce this thing. That seems solid to me. Teferi, get in there, turn off the other half of this deck. And now we just have to beat bad cards getting cast. And they are at 15, and I'm not exactly a blazing fast deck, but we have a very real squeeze on them at this point. Lion's Eye Diamond, I no longer really care about that, because Madness doesn't work with Teferi in play. Vengevine doesn't work with Priest in play. And redeploying Ravager, you got it. Uh-oh. Oh, they have an Ox of Agonis. Okay, that's what they're doing. They can cast that one. Madness doesn't work, but I can force the Ox. Vengevine will get exiled here one way or another. They can either feed it to the Ox, or when it triggers, Priest will eat it. But I mean, that was a pretty good follow-up, considering I have like 80% of what this deck's capable of covered. I am going to Force of Will this Ox. I just don't want them to reload. I can exile Vengevine here, plow the Ravager, and then we're just chilling against a help an opponent with nothing going on. Wandering Emperor, pretty good. I'm going to cycle Timeless Dragon for Plateau. There is still 1 red card in my deck. Plow the Ravager, plus Teferi, attack for 2, and now we need to beat them with our 4-drops before they claw back into this game. Okay. That was a good demonstration of Force the Enabler. On the draw now, Hydroblast, Spell Pierce, Swords to Plowshares are all less reliable against a nut start. I don't love Surgical because it doesn't really affect the Madness cards at all. It affects Vengevine and Ox of Agonis, and that's about it. But those are parts of the nut draw and the second wave. Gonna shave another Yuta. Sorry, dude. And Wandering Emperor is really good when you get there, but it's really bad until you do. That sucks, but I'm just keep shaving fairies. It's great in a lot of matchups. We just don't happen to be against one. Feel so dirty doing it. Okay, this hand can remove large numbers of things, but if my opponent has more things than I can remove in the time I need to remove them, and they kept 7 again, yikes. Oh no. I mean, this hand with any land is actually the nuts. Can I keep a no-lander and just try to be alive when it's time? Oof. What are there, 20 lands in this deck? Yeah, 20. I'm on the draw. Slightly better than 1 and 3 cards in my deck is a land. If I get to the brainstorm phase of the game, we're moving. But if I have to force twice, then I don't have brainstorm anymore. I'm keeping this. I don't recommend this in the wild, but I think it's where we gotta be today. Gotta take some risks out here in the wild, facing down a horrendous matchup. Okay, I mean, I could force this, or I could let them try to spin me up into the lands that I want. This could result in Vengevine. I think I need to let them Inquiry. Okay, 2 lands were drawn and immediately discarded. My opponent discarded nothing of value to be in the graveyard. What a tilt. Those 2 fetch lands. Straight into my hand, straight into the bid. My hand did not change. I discarded all 3 cards that I drew up, Burning Inquiry. Someone do the math. But now at least I get to save face with my opponent. I get to be like, oh no, you discarded my lands. That's so unlucky. I definitely wouldn't keep a 0-lander. Unfortunately, they're at the phase of the game where if they just start casting lizards, it's going to be really good. Putrid Imp. That is an issue to me. And that's the difference between having white mana and not having white mana in these games. I had to spend 2 cards on this Putrid Imp that I have 3 answers for in my hand. Now I need my opponent to fail to function with me. Okay, another shot at Burning Inquiry. Another land hits the graveyard. They hit 2 Root Wallas, but they don't have a Vengevine. They could still have a Hollow one. Ugh, they had a Hollow one. Okay, if I draw a white source now, we're actually still competitive. Let's go! This is generally not a Wasteland deck. I'm going to plow Hollow one immediately and just be done with that. Okay, plow Hollow one, Prismatic Ending, one of the Root Wallas. We're taking 4 this turn if they have nothing else to do. We're taking 2 if they have something else to do. And we're taking 3s until we stabilize after that. Okay, we're pumping Root Wallas. That's the phase of the game we've entered. Spell Pierce, not tempting because they clearly don't have a spell to cast. My next land does not really help because this Root Wall is a 3/3 in combat where it matters. Going to 10 here. Another Force, not really helpful. There are 2 plows and 1 ending in the graveyard, so I do have a lot of white removal still in the deck. And now I can interact if they do anything other than pump this Root Walla. My next removal spell is a very good one, but I don't have a lot of time to find it. Oh no. 7 is an awkward life total. It's much worse than 8 because if fetch land takes a whole turn off the clock. So does a Force. The Staticaster taunting me. It's in the deck so I don't die to Root Walla Beats, and here I am dying to Root Walla Beats. With 4 lands in my graveyard. God, I'm going to have to Force of Will a Root Walla. Oh god. I mean, I have to. It puts me to dead on board, but I'm dead on board if I don't. So Force pitching Staticaster, and I have to draw a white removal spell now, or a land that lets me chump for a turn, but I'd rather draw a Prismatic Ending. Okay, I'm chumping for a turn. Staying alive. But they're at 3 now. A lot of their stuff just cast for 3 on the front end. Snapcaster, get in there. Target Swords to Plowshares. Just let my opponent know what I'd like to draw. But here, if they pump Root Walla, they can't play Angie's Ravager. They would need another Root Walla to add to this board. Alright, deck. Hit me with it. We're dead. Okay, I mean, I did keep a 0-lander, but there were 2 lands in my top 3 cards, which is among the math that I did that made it keepable, and we just Burning Inquiry'd 3 lands straight into our hand, straight to the graveyard. If one of those lands sticks, I think we are doing pretty well here. You could also argue I should have gone to 5 and kept a hand that played on its own, but I think that keep was actually fine, and we just got the cool hand of variance on the Burning Inquiries. On to the next one. Tough to start the league with a heinous matchup like this. You come here to level up at Magic. To level up as a software engineer, check out the new YouTube series Dev Better, hosted by the founder of 7 Factor Software and Magic player, Jeremy Duvall. 7 Factor's small teams of high-performing engineers build custom mobile apps, APIs, and highly scalable systems for Fortune 500 companies and ambitious startups with great ideas. If you'd like to hire 7 Factor, or maybe join their team, contact them through their website at 7factor.io. And don't forget to subscribe to 7 Factor's YouTube for every episode of Dev Better. I am on the draw in round 2, and this hand is awkward in a variety of ways. This is the type of hand where normally I'd say, if they're a creature matchup, we win, and if they're a combo matchup, we lose. But we don't have the white source until turn 3 to even turn on the creature resistance stuff. I still think lands and spells. I play a bunch of white sources. I don't have to get to Timeless Dragon. I'm going to keep this. I mean, the thing about them being a combo deck we lose is still true, though. Oh, okay. We're doing this. And me without a white source. Come on, deck. White source off the top. Let's turn on these endings. A blue card off the top turns on Force of Will. And I'm currently playing around Daze, whether I like it or not. I suspect my opponent's just going to friggin' shove with backup here. Yep, here's that. Turn 2 combo with force backup. And if I have a white source, I could plow here, but I don't. So I'm gonna just look at the contents of their deck. Yeah, okay, so they're on Staff of the Storyteller. Looking at the Cephalid Breakfast deck in game 1, even if you're getting dumpster, it is important because there's so many different versions of it. They have Orum's Chant and Staff of the Storyteller, both of which are good to know about. The Cabal Therapy. Okay. I have seen enough here. We don't need to keep doing that. I just wanted to know what was in their deck. Well then, that is 2 game 1, turn 2 goldfishes on the draw against me so far. We're having a good time. Yeah, Staff creates such a miserable dynamic. I hate when combo decks can do other stuff against me. I like when I can do it against them. They don't understand that I'm the main character. Pretty rude, actually. Okay, so Urza Saga and a bunch of 1/1 spirit tokens need to be on my radar, as well as getting just turn 2 comboed. I don't think I want 3 surgicals. There are strong arguments for 13 of our 15 sideboard cards here. I like all my forces. Containment Priest can chill out in play and cause problems while being a body that they just can't combo through, versus Dress Down being able to clip the Oracle on the way through and also sweeping out constructs. All right, I'm definitely not cutting Dress Down with the overlap with Urza Saga. Wandering Emperor might not be good enough here. And Prismatic Ending kills Staff and Nomads, where Meltdown kills Staff and Saga. God, there are so many cards in this deck. Is it Staticaster hits the Spirit Tokens and Cephalid Illusionist, but it only works if they're on Shuko. It doesn't work if they're on Nomads. Timeless Dragon's out. I think Prismatic Ending, or no, Swords to Plowshares. Okay, Plow. Should be some Pyroblasts. Somebody is vacuuming right outside my office door in this moment where I'm in a high pressure sideboard situation. Oh no. Okay. I don't think this is perfect, but I'm out of time to figure it out. Sorry if that was a weird sound in the background. Okay. Island Ponder. I'll keep this. Island Ponder, force sideboard card, combo kill. Hook it to my veins. Shuffle away these 3 non-land cards and draw a land card. Deal. Got a Flooded Strand and a Ponder. Good start. Respectable. Cool. I'm gonna just hold up Priest here rather than try to Ponder. My game plan is already advancing, and I'd rather cast Priest on their turn where I can force back if I need to. I'm just gonna drop it in, start poking. They can't combo through it anyway, so like waiting until they're comboing, you could miss out on like 16 damage just to try to get them instead of winning the game. Second Narset rolls, because now I can spam this first one with impunity. Hardcast Days is not surprising here. I probably would have taken a turn to Ponder if I hadn't ripped the second Narset to just shove through. Because Days is just so obvious in that spot. Now they have 3 mana available. I think I want to Ponder now. This draw go game out of them is just so weird. Faerie Mastermind, what's up? It's not the land I wanted, but it is a thing I can do while holding up Pyroblast and Force. And if they brainstorm in the end step, I can draw a card off it. They are stepping through in the end step. Illusionist. They might not get to Yuta this turn. Okay, if they're not playing their Illusionist, if they're just investing in the future, that's fine. Our first appearance stays in there. I'm drawing Surgical, so I have a wall of interaction up. And a pretty reasonable clock turning in here. Reason Borrower. This trades with Yuta. That's fine. I'm not going to use my Pyroblast on this card when I can see Cephalid Illusionist in their hand that they just tutored for. It's face up. We can look right at it. And I don't think it's time to shove Narset either. I just want them to have to do something. And if they don't, I'll keep attacking for 2. I could Surgical Dazes and get a look at their hand and see if I'm dead, but that also increases the chances that I'm dead. But sticking Narset, clearing the way for Days Undoing, is a big play. But my shields are up so hard right now. Okay, my first fresh draw in a while is coming. Another Red Blast. Okay. 7 cards in my hand. Pretty soon I'm going to have to do something, or else I just start losing cards to discard. Only 1 red source available right now. Here's an Illusionist. Counter target spell if it's blue. I countered that. And then, bummer. They passed priority. I could have taken the Illusionist out of their whole deck, but I wanted to do it on my turn. I'm not even sure how much I care about Illusionist. Second Priest is cool. I'm going to start by attacking. I'm better than this thing in combat. And I think I want to blast it on their turn. They get to untap, but then I can use Force of Negation to fight it. I could also just Prismatic Ending it. That's probably the way to go. This removes it and keeps Red Blast in the mix. Force, Pitching Force. I don't need to counter this. I can kill the Cephalid still with Red Blast, and any Narcomoebas that trigger right now get exiled. Okay, I'm going to Red Blast now before they untap. Flusterstorm, okay. Alright, I mean, they're now down to 1 card in hand. I still have Surgical and Force, and they can't combo through the Priest. This isn't that bad. I'm kind of tempted to Surgical Urza Saga in their draw step, because that's probably their best way to win now. But I would also hate to just, lose to some removal spell. Staff of the Storyteller. This is a card that can stabilize the board and do stuff. I would have to lose Days Undoing if I counter this. I think that's fine. I'm not going to undo the day anymore in this game. They're already hellbent. What am I looking for? And I have 2 priests that represent lethal, whether they block or not, on this turn cycle. Cool. That was a nice, scrappy little game. Most of the tools came in. Now I got a fresh 3 minutes to think about how I want to sideboard for this matchup. I just kind of threw the Meltdown in there at the end, so I don't think it's bad. Narset does constrict Staff of the Storyteller, even if it doesn't shut it down outright. I think I want Staticasters in. The killing Nomad, Illusionist, and any number of Spirit tokens is a nice set of effects. Red Blasts were good, the Priests were good. Force of Negation, kind of medium, but it was a nice insurance policy throughout. I didn't explain it because I was panicked for time, but cutting Plows against the creature combo deck, I side graded them into Rebs. Rebs kill Teferi and win counter wars, as well as removing the homie. And with Surgical Dress Down Containment Priest in the deck, I don't even really need to remove Illusionist. It's just one angle of the game. But I do have to find 2 cuts for these Staticasters that I just reached for. And strongly considering the additional Red Blast as well. Seeing that they brought in Flusterstorm, or have Flusterstorm, whether they brought it in or not, I don't know, but having Staticaster and Priest that shut down their combo that can't be flustered is pretty cool. Maybe I just don't Days Undoing them. I run them out of cards and out-control them. That's the game plan. That's 1 cut. Do I need Meltdown if I have Dress Downs? And the Meltdown stops the staff, but so does Narset. I think I don't play Meltdown. And 1 more cut, 30 seconds to make it. I like Spell Pierce. I like the fairies. I like the snaps. Maybe I don't like Spell Pierce. No, that hits to fairy. Need all my lands. Oh, 10 seconds left. I'm gonna panic cut a spell or a Snapcaster probably. Oh, panic cut a fairy. All right, I'm not sure if that's perfect. Surprised how difficult it is to sideboard for that. It just forced the negation for interaction. Do have a fairy I can drop. I'm going to keep this. Island Ponder. Let's go. Looted Delta. I will force a Shuko. Oh, yikes. I mean, good luck. My hand's weird as hell. Unless you meta me and name Ponder. Force a will. Yep, I have the other one. Sorry to disappoint. I had the 1 of instead of the 4 of that I'd rather have. It worked out to my benefit this time. Now I have a turn to breathe because it takes 3 mana to combo kill me. The fairy's cool. Second Ponder is cool. None of these are the removal spell that I want, though. I'm actually going to shuffle this. Rewarded. That's exactly the card I would rather have. There's a staff. I don't really want to play against this card. They know I can force it. If I get dazed, I get dazed, but I think the game is better without this card in play, for me. And it gives them immediate fodder to flashback Cabal Therapy, plus a redraw. No thanks. Yikes. Okay, sick. I can double Red Blast now. I can fetch Plateau, have all my colors, or drop Fairy if I need to drop Fairy. Okay, Narcomoeba is on the stack. Resolves. Are they going to strip my Narset? I mean, I'll just flash in Fairy in response if they Wall Therapy here. If they daze Fairy, they're not dazing Narset. I would rather have the Fairy in play than not in play. But I think adding to the board, getting the cards out of their hand, this is the plan I signed up for. Oh, wow. They've just had enough. Is their hand just, like, Dread Return and, like, 2 blanks? Weird. Okay. I guess this game is over, though it didn't seem that bad at the time. Maybe they're just ice cold to Narset? Unclear, but we're on the board. We did it. Let's go. The Command Tower software by Eminence Gaming is perfect for hosting TCG events. It features easy-to-create event registration for 1v1 and 4-player Swiss structured tournaments. Event management has never been so simple, and it's web-based, so there's no download required. Get access for just $5 at eminence.event/subscribe. I'm on the play in round 3, and I'm going to keep this hand. Just 1 land. Brainstorm does a sad little Ponder impression, but holding up my 1 of Spell Pierce on turn 1 makes me very happy. I don't think this is an end step Brainstorm situation. Like, I would rather have the extra look at land number 2 than necessarily curve into Mastermind. Blooded Strand go. My favorite play in Magic. A Plateau. So Painter of Faithless Looting. Look at this art on Faithless Looting. Wow. That's wild. I'm fetching Tundra. I suspect this is some sort of combo deck that's not going to wasteland me. And they took the comic book art and put an old frame on it. I don't think I've ever seen that in my life. That could have been a value looting in some sort of painter deck. Sick, we just drew the land. That's why you don't brainstorm in the end step. You're going to draw it anyway. Just relax. They can play another looting now. I'm ready to bury it. Magic Vista Plateau. This is likely to eat a Lightning Bolt or Red Blast here, but this is why we had a 2-drop to the deck. That's a Lightning Bolt or Red Blast that Teferi's not going to eat. That for 2. And leaving a Plow versus jamming Teferi. I'm jamming Teferi. Let's go. And I'm just going to draw a card. Don't know what their deck is. True Force of Will. Now I mostly don't care what their deck is. And the difference between attacking for 2 every turn while you fart around doing Jeskai stuff and not attacking for 2 every turn when you fart around doing Jeskai stuff is big deal. Oh, we are some sort of grief scam strategy. What did they pitch to this grief? Painful Truths. Oh my god. What's happening right now? I mean, whatever. This resolves. They can't scam it with Teferi in play. Like, go ahead, take my Brainstorm or whatever the hell's about to happen. Took my Force. They could reanimate, or this could be a brought back deck. That would be cool. If they brought back targeting Grief and Prismatic Vista right now, busted. Reanimate. Just reanimate. Boring. This one will probably take the plow. Yep, that's how that works. Ponder. I would like to cast Ponder and find another plow here, please. Days Undoing and Force of Will and land. I don't want any of these cards, actually. I don't hate the land, but I guess if I keep the land, I can brainstorm into Force Days Undoing. But that's not even good. Does that even do anything? No, I'm going to shuffle this. Flooded Strand. So I am going to lose my Teferi to combat this turn. But I'm causing trouble where I can. Attacking for 2 is busted in Magic. Grief kills Teferi. Got it. Please fast back Faithless Looting. That would be so sick. Yeah! Yuta! They discarded Iona and Atraxa. Powerful cards all around. We finally drew a card off Yuta, though. Count it. I think now Brainstorm's better than Ponder because I have this extra land I don't need. And Prismatic Ending I don't think is going to be where I want to be with my life. Prismatic Ending and Tundra can go away. Back for my 2. I could Narset, dig for an answer here, or I could play the Wandering Emperor, exile Grief. Atraxa is pretty annoying. Yeah, this is a tough spot. I could also just shuffle, Ponder, try to find a Force of Will. But Narset digs for forces too. I think I want a Narset here. Narset can also find Plow, with my 1 mana still kicking around. Here's Narset. Activate. Found Plow. That's covered. I can pick off Grief to protect my Narset. Or I could save the Plow for this Atraxa that might end up in play this turn. Certainly under some risk here. Collective Brutality. With Kill Mode and Duress Mode, I guess I'm going to wipe out this Grief and lose my Ponder. And then probably die here. It's a weird Reanimator deck, but it's working. If they can put Archon into play, they probably win. Yep, because this takes out both my Planeswalkers. And I can draw a Plow here. Or Prismatic Ending works too. Teferi kind of works. Mystic Sanctuary. If I put Swords to Plowshares on top. And I guess that's the play. I'm going to be way behind by the time it hits, but this is the line that I have. Okay, I take 8 this turn. They draw a card. And if they make a second monster, I lose. If they Iona on white, I lose. Oh, yeah. Oh, we're going for Atraxa. We're getting greedy. Show me more of the deck. Faithless Lootings, Entombs, Animate Deads. So this is just Mardu Reanimator with Plateau in it. So there's non-black lands. I take 8 now. I go to 7. Oh, okay. Another one. You did it. All right. They are Reanimator. Bunch of Surgicals coming in. Hydroblast coming in, I guess. Containment Priest comes in. And all those plateaus are kind of weird. I kind of suspect a juke. Dress Down is good against all of the monsters we saw that can be reanimated. The Fairy is frequently medium in decks against decks like this because they're not really interacting on the stack anyway. They might have Ephemerate. That's a white card. That makes sense with Grief and Archon and Atraxa. And Teferi embarrasses that card, but I think I just need to not really let them have a creature in play. Ending is always mediocre against Reanimator. I think I do want my Days Undoing. It doubles as Graveyard Hate if I need to emergency make their graveyard go away. Snapcaster and Fairy are both good. I think I'm just going to go the rest of the way in on my Prismatic Endings and the Timeless Dragon. This looks good to me. Okay, I can Ponder here or hold up Hydroblast. I'm going to keep and cast Ponder. Hydroblast is only good if they lead on exactly Faithless Looting. Ponder is drawing live to 3 surgicals and 5 forces that can interact on this turn. Ponder. Containment Priest and land. Cool. If they turn 0 me, I am dead. If they spend any time setting up, I'm going to have a priest hidden on top of my deck that they can't take right now. Thoughtseize. That's what I'm looking for in my life. The mull to 5, keep a slow hand. I don't love the hand that I kept in game 1, but in game 2, your opponent has to respect hate, so they have to slow down a little bit, and that gives you a turn to develop a lot of the time. This is where they Lotus Petal, Dark Ritual, and Tomb Reanimate me, and I'm dead. And I'm talking out of my ass. But if they don't do exactly that, there's a surprise priest coming their way. And because of all these fairies, if there's nothing... If I don't need to priest them, I can fairy them. And this is busted. I love this card. It hasn't even really gone off yet, but I'm a big fan. You better believe I had the foils and the full arts and everything headed my way for CEDH and Legacy alike. Okay, this one I need to respond to. They know I hit a good card. They don't know that it's one that can dodge Thoughtseize. They get to look at all these cards again, and they're starting to take fairies. Press down. I hope I won't need that. And now we just start our attacking for 2. 8 bear deck. They're passing. Add to the board. Oh, I'm such a fan of this play pattern. Force of Will, too. Get in there, squad. Something is happening in the end step. Soul Partition. Okay. Exile target non-land permanent. For as long as the card remains exiled, its owners may play it, and it costs 2 more. I think I'd rather have Priest in play than Force in my hand. Soul Partition is a card people keep telling me to play in CEDH. It seems kind of efficient for what it does, but also I like long games, and my opponent will eventually just pay 2 for their card back. But you can also like flicker your Dockside Extortionist with it. Cool stuff. Yes. And a Surgical. Let's go again. Opponent still doesn't have a monster in their graveyard, and they're running out of life to reanimate, and Containment Priest is still in play. If they crack this fetch land, they're dead on board. And they're just conceding anyway. Cool. An unceremonious dismantling. But Soul Partition is a card they have that I know about now. I don't think that changes anything. My deck is the deck that I want it to be. I didn't get a chance to value Surgical and just look at their deck. Don't really know everything they're doing, but this still looks good to me. Now we got to get one on the draw. My 7-card hand does contain Force of Will, but not a land, and Force of Will's not enough to beat Reanimator on its own. I would consider a no-lander with like Force Blue card and Surgical, but this is not it. Okay, I'm gonna keep this and put Wandering Emperor on the bottom. Not exactly thrilled with this, but it does have turn 0 interaction. Hydroblast, not great, because Faithless Looting is the only hit. But if they are going to use looting to put cards in their graveyard, I'm ready. Surgical is gone. And, oh my god! Alert the authorities. Let's get in a fight over Faithless Looting. That would make me really happy right now. Grief, no! The authorities! Oh, you have Unmarked Grave in your deck? Okay. I hope they needed this Grief to beat the Hydroblast. But they're just taking out their Surgical here. Reanimate, okay. This is what we're doing. Using my Fairy, and now we are hanging out and drawing cards with the blue deck. I'm gonna Brainstorm now, because my deck does have Ponder in it, and I might need that. Okay, I'm gonna put Hydroblast and Priest on top of my deck, or Plateau Priest. Hydroblast. I want to hide the Priest from discard spells. It's just, what do I want under it? Do I want a 3rd land? I don't think I need a 3rd land here. I'm gonna hide Priest on top and keep Force double blue card in my hand, and then try to survive this exchange. Animating my Mastermind. I'm gonna force this because I think that Priest is about to shut down the game, and I would rather them not be drawing extra cards and attacking me for 5. End step. Do I have any red cards in my deck? I do not, so I'm just going to get Tundra. Yeah, that sounds right. And the race is on. They're winning the race currently. My deck has removal in it. Oh, so does theirs. Okay. All right, land number 3. Not great, but now Narset's on as a thing I can draw. I need a plow. I cut my Teferis, so that one won't help here. This represents Mystic Sanctuary. I might just commit myself to a brainstorm here because I am pretty close to dead on board. A red source. I did pitch a Hydroblast to Force, so they may or may not know that I still have one. Okay, I mean, I'm gonna have to brainstorm. There's not a plow in my graveyard. At Volcanic Island, Mystic Sanctuary, pick up Brainstorm and hope to find an answer. These fetches do put me to dead on board, where I could have had another turn to develop. Okay, all in. Towards the Plowshares. Too easy. Land and Hydroblast go back. Land Brainstorm. Yeah, I think I want the Hydroblast in my hand. I am going to plow on their turn in case they do have Ephemerate. That way, at least I don't die immediately. An end step fetch. I don't like it. Enlightened Tutor. What the fuck? This happens. I guess Animate Dead is a card that exists. Bitter Blossom, huh? That's what we're doing? Okay, that's not a card I can beat. I Brainstorm on top of my deck. There are no prismatic endings. They have 11 life to my 3. Brainstorm plus fetch land. I do have the guaranteed action here. Speaking of guaranteed action, put back Hydroblast and Mastermind. Or do I want Mastermind? I have to play Priest this turn. I guess if I put back land Mastermind, or do I just not want Hydroblast in my life? I think I put back land Mastermind. This way I can still fight over Faithless Lootings while adding the creature that's big enough to attack into a Bitter Blossom to the board. Opponent's a 10. If they Thought Seize me, that's fine. Demon Priest, go. They Soul Partition this, I can just replay it. I start with attacking though. If I can race this Bitter Blossom, we're cooking. Didn't block. The first rule of Bitter Blossom is if you're blocking, you're losing. Opponent is in the right headspace here. Cling to Dust. Oh, you can gain life. That's so cheating. All right, so you draw a card here. It's your first card for the turn. Okay. But if they flash that back, they gain life. Or they can gain life in an emergency. My top card is land. Is blocking Fairy better than playing Fairy now? If I trade with this Fairy Rogue, they attack for 1 next turn. This Cling to Dust is actually a huge problem because now all of the life total business, all the math I've done doesn't matter. Wow, no attack. Okay, and I'll take that. I'll play my Fairy. No attack, huh? Wild. I'm gonna fire in with Aimant Priest. I send the Mastermind as well. I mean, that's an easy trade, but so is everything else. Yeah, I mean, let's go. I'm not winning a game where I don't take game actions, and I'm not going to activate Fairy and give my opponent a card here. They're at 5. They can start gaining life with Cling. They can't do this a lot of times. Really only once. It's probably all they need. Hope they don't target a creature. Immediately targeted a creature. Yeah, they see what's going on here. Please continue not attacking me. Oh my god. Dying land sucks, but I would have been dead this turn if they were just attacking with their Bitter Blossom. Wow, we're double blocking. We want a full turtle mode. Deal. And I'm dead both ways, but still. I'll take it. Okay, Tech. Some good card, please. Ponder. Is Wandering Emperor still in my deck? I think I boarded it out, but that would be a banger. Oh, it is still in there. Good. Come on, Wandering Emperor. Force of Will, Brainstorm, Ponder. I want this Brainstorm. Do I want to shuffle before Ponder, Force are under it, and then a mystery card? I think going now is fine. Brainstorm now. I'm effectively at 2. Narset is nice. If I put back Hydroblast, Flooded Strand, I fetch to 2, play Narset. If I force, I'm dead on board, but if they attack Narset instead of my life points, that's another turn I get to do stuff. Alright, Narset, get in there. I need Wandering Emperor to stabilize this game. Narset activation. Opponent has 5 cards in their hand. It's not like I'm even only playing against Bitter Blossom at this point. They've drawn so many things. This pivot into Mardu tokens is certainly something. Spell Pierce and Surgical. Well, I can't cast Surgical anymore. I'll take the Spell Pierce. And I hope that they either don't make me force or do attack Narset. Those are the 2 things I want this turn. Please attack Narset, please attack Narset, please attack Narset. Uh-oh, they figured out that my life points are low. Can't force anymore. Anime dead, targeting my Faerie. Yeah, I mean, this works. Another 1/1. If I cast Ponder, they get a card on my turn. Look at this Faerie deck coming together. I have to tweet this and tag Yuta. He will enjoy this. Okay, so Wandering Emperor is still my best card. Narset, let's have a look. None of these are Wandering Emperor. There is a Swords to Plowshares. Is that helpful? If I find a creature, I can gain life. Ponder. 2 more plows. Oh, that's not even good. Shuffle. Opponent draws a card for the Faerie. And I'm gonna die for Xaxes. Yeah, I can answer 1, block the other, and then lose. GG. The Enlightened Tutor for Bitter Blossom pivot, I gotta admit, I was not ready for. So they are thought seizing me. Guess I Spell Pierce this. I mean, it doesn't matter. They're not gonna suddenly take 2 damage somehow. Alright, I can just concede probably. I will play it out though. Maybe they'll snuff out. I'll plow the Mastermind, because that one is slightly better, and then I will concede the game. Well, I'll make them attack first, but then I'll concede. Bitter Blossom. Getting it done. Yeah, that was certainly a deck that we played against. I imagine it gives up a lot of speed on the Reanimator thing to have this pivot in the sideboard, but I mean, that's not bad. It's just like a scam deck that can go huge if it's appropriate and go wide if that's appropriate. Cool innovations. On to the next one. We're a few rounds into the video. Thanks for sticking with me. Friendly reminder that if you're still here and having fun, smash that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, you can use my affiliate link for TCG Player to support the channel while you shop for cards, and you can try any deck anytime with a cardhoarder.com loan account for Magic Online. All these links are in the video description below. Now back to the league. On the play in round number 4. Island Ponder, baby. Get to play on basic lands and stuff. Love it. Found a Force of Will. Love it. Okay. We're covered against spells, we're covered against creatures, and we have cantrips to smooth out the rest of this situation. Uh-oh. Gonna have to interact with this, unfortunately. This is one of those awful situations where it's like, if I have Prismatic Ending, I'm laughing all the way to the bank, but because I don't, I have to do a stupid thing. Brainstorm, send these basic planes away. I'll probably end up with those anyway. That was a lot of lands on the Brainstorm. Another Chalice. Okay, this one's not as bad, as I've already spewed off all my cantrips. I do still miss the Prismatic Ending. I would like to find it. Do I want to play around Blood Moon here? I guess I might as well. Snapcaster. Snapcaster's not the worst. It can trade with a Rebel Master that attacks in the future, even if it doesn't get a spell out of it. And I can Timeless Dragon, this turn in 4/4 mode if they don't Blood Moon. Goblin has to attack. Basic Plane Cycle. And I am going to fetch Tundra now. Just don't want to draw more lands. And I can't cast cantrips right now anyway. Draw more lands anyway. It's all good. So they can ram their Rabble Master into Timeless Dragon to get a trade. If they have Fury, that clears this basically for free. If they have Land Fury, oh god. If they just hardcast Fury here. Okay, it's Squee Dubious Monarch. We get... makes a 1/1 when it attacks. Stacked this wrong, so Rabble Master is one smaller than it could be. Yep, they said oops in the chat. Okay, they know. 4 other cards have to be exiled. 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm gonna block Squee this turn. And I'll take my 8 and try to trade Snapcaster for Rabble Master next turn. I don't want to lose my only creature. Okay, deck. How about a Prismatic Ending? Or we can keep drawing lands forever. That's cool too. Mystic Sanctuary doesn't help here. Not getting a lot of love from anything. 1, 2, 4, 5. I am probably not winning this race. I do have Ancient Tomb for mana. And if I take 6, I go to 2, trade with Rabble Master. Yeah, I'm definitely losing that race. That's the turn. And if they play a land, they can escape the Squee because they discard 2. That gives them 3 other cards in their graveyard. Float 2, play a land, escape Squee, and continue to be in trouble. And the double Chalice. Some BS. Oh no, mana's being tapped. Do they see the line? That line also assumes that their hand just isn't other good spells. It probably is. Okay, looks like they see the line. Blood Moon. Oh, that's fine. And they still have enough to Squee. Messed up. Okay, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm trading with Rabble Master with Snapcaster. Am I alive outside of this? Okay. Before I show them that Snapcaster's in my deck, I want to see if I'm going to survive this attack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm at 1, which if they had stacked their Rabble Master correctly last turn, I would be dead right now. So I have 1 turn to try to make something happen here. Block Squee, block Rabble Master, go to 1. I don't think I have just 3 surprise damage. I can't Wandering Emperor, I can't Plow. Okay. It's a draw step I wasn't supposed to have, but didn't matter. Okay. Chalice of the Void stuff. Staticaster comes in here. I do like Meltdown, because as we saw, Chalice versus no Chalice that game, if I just plow that Rabble Master, they're never winning. But instead, they got over the finish line. Do like a Spell Pierce. Press Down, pretty medium. Teferi's pretty medium. And Teferi can bounce Chalice if it needs to. But this is mostly not a high impact card for the matchup. Yeah, I think I'm off Teferi. And Meltdown's tricky because it's only good against Chalice, where Prismatic Ending can hit whatever. I could bring in 1 Meltdown, just so I have more answers to Chalice than they have Chalices, which is already very true. But I do like the Days Undoing for this matchup. Saw Blood Moon, I don't really care about that card. Snapcaster's solid. Wandering Emperor is great. And it's probably Narset, but if I'm cutting Narset, Days Undoing gets worse. Fairy removing random permanents is solid, but if they're just on a bunch of goblins, it doesn't do anything. The Fairy is pretty good against Fable the Mirror Breaker, though. So's Narset. Could cut 1 Narset and the Undoing and get my 2 Teferis back. Oh, wait, that's still too many cards. Narset Digging for action, I like a lot. It might just be a Fairy. No, I like the Fairy a lot. Just pressuring them matters. We were only 3 points off from winning last game, despite how badly the whole thing went. 1 Teferi, 3 Narset. I'm going like this. Keep. This hand can remove Chalice. I'm in. Slightly concerned about the Tundra, but I can get basic Island in the mix. And Ponder. Force of Will, love it. Another Ending, love it. I'll pop this Force in my hand and just play my Tundra next turn and land the turn after. Or I could Brainstorm into it if I need to. Kind of hoping they do Chalice this game, because I'm so ready for it. Deal. Static Ending. The Difference Maker. And now I'm hoping they follow up with another Chalice. Fable. I don't think I want to force this. I could plow the Goblin. I'm drawing a land. Unlicensed Hearse. Do I care about this? I have the Snapcasters, but mostly whatever. I'm drawing a fetch land, and I can cast Brainstorm here. I'm going to start with that. Basic Island. That's what I'm going to fetch anyway. And another Prismatic Ending. I do like that. I think I'm just putting these lands back and ending the Goblin. I'm going to keep Plow so I can clear a Rabble Master if they slam one. Hearse is doing Hearse things. It does get big in the background. When the Fable of the Mirror Breaker flips, Hearse can attack as a 4/4 right away. Wow, they kept all their cards. Hand's perfect. What a life. Blood Moon. I can fetch basic Island here. I have a lot of planes. Or I have, what, 2 planes and Timeless Dragon that can find them. 2 planes plus Timeless Dragon. I really don't want to force a Blood Moon, but I even less want to lose to not having mana in this deck. I think I'm just going to fetch an Island and let this resolve. Try to have faith in my deck that is built for these sort of situations. Timeless Dragon off the top. Swords of Plowshares. Okay, so Brainstorm doesn't get to shuffle anymore. So I'm going to be patient about my Brainstorm. First, eats 2 things. Fable can flip this turn. They're passing. Come on, basic planes. Timeless Dragon. Alright, Brainstorm, bring me home, buddy. I need you here. Oh no, they have Pyroblast? Shit. Okay, I guess we're gonna lose this game because we don't have mana. So they can start attacking me for 6 next turn. If they play another Goblin, I'm taking 1,000,000. Losing to this deck is super frustrating because literally if this Scalding Tarn fetches a basic plains, we're just laughing the way to the bank. Every card in our hand is on, they can't do anything. But because it couldn't, we're losing to a card that we're built not to lose to. Alright, figured it out. Hydroblast that, please. Please don't have another Pyro. Okay, cool. Luckily, we got other answers. Do I want to plow this thing? I think I do. Does it matter? Could just wait for them to attack. I mean, if I don't plow this, yeah, I actually am going to plow this. Because if I don't and they draw a Rabble Master, they can copy the Rabble Master and start causing problems for me. This Hearse is enormous. That's a 2-shotter. Maybe just keep bricking. God damn. And this gets to crew the Hearse if they so desire. I hope they don't. Like, don't? Okay, cool. They didn't crew Hearse. That's good news for me. I'm not just taking an extra 8 here. Another basic. And I do want to remove Rabble Master. And I'm going to go all the way in on Prismatic Ending for it. Because plowing something like Fury or a Rabble Master pre-combat in the future is going to be relevant. If they activate Hearse right now, I can put my Ending on top, but I don't think I even want to do that. Maybe just stop drawing bangers. How about that? Shit, Simian Spirit Guide does crew Hearse, but now I have Plow up. The Goblin is attacking. Hey, deck, how about like a card that does anything? The shields are down. Oh my god. So bad. Alright, I'm gonna plow this Simian Spirit Guide. I'm ready to Force of Will anything that crews Hearse, because Hearse is approaching lethal levels. Just take a turn off. Don't draw an impactful spell. Just Just relax. How about that? Okay, cool. We got a turn. How about an impactful spell? Nope, just another land. I can hardcast forces now. This goblin continues to poke. Don't think I want to rebuy. No, I'll just let that go. I want a cantrip. I want a threat. I want something that does something at this point. I'm not trying to Mystic Sanctuary a Plowback when I have 2 answers to their next 2 things in my hand. I have to imagine their hand is just like Furies at this point. Double red spells that they can't cast. Because they haven't played a land or a spell in several turns, so it's either reactive spells like Pyroblast or cards like Fury that they just can't cast with what they have. Oh yeah. Alright, cool. I have an attacker. I could even, with the mana that I have, do the whole thing. I mean, I have to force this. But I have enough to play and activate Mastermind all in one turn. Please put this in the graveyard. Curse is lethal now, as soon as it gets an attack through. Good spells, good spells. Not good spells. Playing my 7th land lets me Force of Will something and still deploy Faerie. They are on mono Ancient Tombs. Chalice, I hate that. But this is not my fight at this point. This turns off their Pyroblasts that I've been worried about. And I do have an attacker that wins the race backed by Force of Will. Okay, end step. The important question is, do I activate Mastermind? And I think the answer is no. I just pop this buddy in, back it by Force of Will, and suddenly I'm winning the race. Basic Plains, what's up? Alright, Yuta, let's do it. Going into 3. The next spell they cast is the last spell they cast, unless they find some non-Ancient Tomb mana sources. Chrome Mox. This card can cast Fury as an actual creature, exiling Shatterskull Smashing. Okay, this is the last spell you get. You tap your tomb to do it. If they have 2 castable creatures in their hand that involve tapping only 1 tomb, they get to do their thing here and crew the hearse, and I probably lose. They said in the chat, let's see the dress down. I don't have that, but I do have Force of Will. Table of the Mirror Breaker. Right, I don't have Dress Down. I do have Force of Will. Do you have a second creature? Am I dead? Okay, we're going to combat, and the hearse is not a hearse. Now I have some concern because they didn't have to tap Ancient Tomb. Ponder doesn't help. Do I have to leave back my Faerie just in case they draw literally anything? I don't think I can afford to do that. I just gotta go in and hope this works. I can activate Faerie to draw 2 cards on their turn. They also get 1. But maybe just like, don't do stuff. How about that? Don't do stuff. Don't do stuff, yes! Chrome Mox Fury in the hand. Oh, my read was right that it was Fury. My read that it was a reactive spell was not right. It was, they had 2 Chrome Moxes and Fury. Okay. Crazy game. That game brought to you by not being able to fetch a Plains on time. That shouldn't have been that close. But here we are. Okay. That hearse was enormous, and Dress Down does kill it if they ever activate it, but Dress Down is just not good enough for this matchup. The endings did a lot of work. Do I want the second Meltdown? I don't think so. And Containment Priest is bigger than a Goblin token. If I just want a body I can shove into play. Don't know what I would cut for that though. Like, all my spells are already pretty tight. I could revisit the Planeswalkers. Teferi's kind of a chunker, but we mentioned specifically how well it lines up with Fable. And the hearse is like kind of annoying for Snapcaster purposes, but I don't even mind a 2/1 with no abilities. I think I'm just going to leave the deck where it is. And having only 1 creature that interacts favorably with a Goblin in combat, which is Timeless Dragon, the Containment Priest keeping tokens under control does seem like something, but none of these cards look that cuttable anymore. It would be a Teferi and then a Teferi and a Narset if I bring in 1 or 2 priests. And I spent that whole game just begging the deck for action. and those cards are action. All right, I'm gonna submit the same deck, but I'm gonna give it a good hard think first. Ugh, this hand is so close to good. For the second land, I'd be about it. 19 lands in the deck. The second land finds the third land right away, but I already have the basic plains, which is the wrong one. I'm gonna mulligan this. This is the type of hand that just gets run over. Okay, I will keep this one and send a Scalding Tarn to the bottom. This answers Chalice, it answers a Goblin. It very slowly gets out from under Blood Moon with the Timeless Dragon. And if they're just gonna land go, I'm in for that. Found Force of Will. Let's cook. Leading on Flooded Strand, we'll see if they do have a Blood Moon or what their follow-up play is. From Mox, that's not my battle. Pitching Fury, and they are Blood Mooning. Dragon can get the plains, so I am going to get the island here. I wanted to give myself the option by leading on Flooded Strand. Another land. I can melt down and kill their Chrome Mox. Don't know that I want to do that on this timetable. Play is Legion Warboss. Can plow that next turn. So I'm going to use this turn to Brainstorm, and then I can shuffle in my upkeep. Or I could just grab the plains, but this is the only shuffle I'm going to get. I'm going to Brainstorm now. Wandering Emperor, Faerie Mastermind. I like the Mastermind. Wandering Emperor is never going to get cast. Another Brainstorm's good. Meltdown is bad until they find Chalice, then it's great. I could actually just put the dragon on top, draw it, cycle it. Yeah, that's fine. I like enough of these cards that I'm going to keep one of them. Cycle Timeless Dragon. Get basic plains. Ready to plow this goblin. I have to do it in the main phase because it triggers at beginning of combat. Started to move through the phase, so I'll plow here. If they have a second goblin, they can drop it. Seems they did not. Kind of rooting for a Chalice now, because if I can kill Chalice with Meltdown and take Chrome Mox with me, that's awesome. Ace of Chaos Adventurer. Fuck no. I'd rather have Mastermind than Brainstorm here. Alright, I mean, being able to take them off a mana after they show me that they're in the business of 4-drops. Let's just kill that Chrome Mox. I've changed my mind. I'm into it. This is where they draw Chalice immediately. Okay, Chrome Mox. They've got one more 4-drop for the road. These are the last two cards in their hand. I mean, Spirit Guide and Goblin Rabble Master. Okay. I think that one is pretty bad. I'd almost prefer Case of Chaos Adventurer. And now we're in that spot that I talked about where it's just like, if I had an X2 in my deck, and I do have Staticaster in my deck, is the best draw at this point. Oh, I'll take it to Fairy, though. What does this do for me? I can bounce one of the tokens, trade with a Rabble Master, and just have Teferi in play. Is that even good? I don't care about Blood Moon or Chrome Mox. Yeah, I think I actually want to bounce the Goblin token. Prismatic Ending. That can kill Rabble Master next turn. I'm just going to leave Fairy back. They can't Fury here because they only have 4 mana and 1 card in their hand. If Rabble Master attacks, I'm trading with it. If it doesn't, right, they put 1 on Teferi, 1 on me. They smartly recognized I don't want to trade for any of these Goblin tokens. Swords to Plowshares, okay. I could Prismatic Ending Blood Moon, fetch, plow Rabble Master, and then have Timeless Dragon available for next turn. I think that's the play. Get rid of Blood Moon. And I'm going to start attacking. For combat, I can get a Tundra now. Plow the Rabble Daddy. Now the race is on. Simian Spirit Guide, okay. Prismatic Ending. It's not time for that. Do have to fetch. I can't tap my fetch lands for mana anymore. There's a 4/4. Please don't Fury me. I'm going to keep attacking. Okay, Blood Moon. The damage is done. That's fine. That actually helps me because that gives me red mana, which I didn't have a second ago, and now my basics are up under me. Wandering Emperor is really the only card I can't cast in my deck right now. Snapcaster's busted. That's another plow. Narset under it. Yeah, I'm in for this whole pile. And back with everything. Do I want to have to snap plow? No, I think I want to just attack with my Faerie. I can play my other Faerie, or I can hold up Snapcaster. They showed me last turn that they can't get through a 4/4. So mana number 5, that represents Fury, which was not cast. Another Faerie. The Air Force grows. Now if I activate one of these Fairies on their turn, I draw 3 cards. But they're 1. Okay, this is a 2-turn clock, and I have Snapcaster to stuff whatever they do. Yeah, I'm just going to get them dead in 2 here. I'm not going to play Narset. And I'm not going to end anything either, because I only have the 1 white if I need Snap Plow. Yeah, alright. Picking apart Red Stompy as we do. This matchup is favorable if you sequence your lands correctly. If you get a basic plains and a basic island, you're doing well. Chalice is a concern, but you have answers. Blood Moon is a concern until it's not. Like this, the first Blood Moon slowed me down a little bit. The second one did nothing for this game, and just got to get control. I do love not losing to Blood Moon in Legacy. On to the next round. For the absolute best Magic the Gathering apparel on the market, check out the link in the video description to coalesceapparel.shop, and be sure to use the code BoshNRoll for 10% off when you check out. I'm on the play for the final round. Positive record on the line. I'm going to keep this hand with lands and spells in it. Opponent's on 6. I'm going to play my island in case I need an emergency brainstorm. And I'm not going to cast the brainstorm unless there's an emergency. Oh, and Urza Saga strategy. And Mox Opal. And Soul Guide Lantern. Okay, so this could be Painter, could be 8 cast. Ooh. Do you like drawing cards? Because I do. We will learn more about their deck here. Ancient Tomb. Okay, we didn't learn much more about their deck. They can make a construct which turns on Mox Opal if they need 1 mana of color to do something. Okay. I have some concerns at this point. We could just die to a Painter. I'm going to cast Brainstorm. It looks like they're making a move on maybe Pyroblast. Oh my god. Alright. We've just completely whiffed on land. And put back the second Narset. She's never going to be helpful. And the Brainstorm. And then I guess I'll attack with my Faerie. 2 plows are pretty nice versus this draw. But everything else that's going on I'm not a fan of. We'll see if they want to make another construct. And they do. I'm going to plow the first one before the second one arrives. See what this saga does. See if we learn any more about our opponent's deck here. Okay, Grindstone it is. That's what we're doing. Another Ancient Tomb. Uh-oh. Well, there's Painter, and I can't counter it with Force of Negation. Painted everything blue. Lotus Petal. Yuck. They're 1 mana away from grinding me right now. Oh no, they have a Spirit Guide. I was not prepared in my life to Force of Negation that Lotus Petal, but if they have Spirit Guide, it got me good. Okay, I can ponder, but I think, like, Brainstorm sees the Narset again, but I think I need to change this hand to meaningfully. Okay, second white source. If I put back the Narsets, they're not helping me this game. And I guess I want to ponder for a Force of Will. That's none of those cards. Shuffle. Prismatic Ending. Interesting. I can't pass the turn, because then they just... Or I can, because if they activate, I plow in response. I am getting pummeled by this construct in the meantime. Yeah, I think I do pass here. I need to give Force of Negation a chance to be the difference maker. Grindstone is activated. Towards the Plowshares, the Painter. They have this Lotus Petal. Oh, if they draw a card here, I draw a card. Let's go, Faerie. Sick. That turn worked out much better than I could have hoped. They're also now down 2 artifacts, so their construct's smaller. Only Ancient Tombs for mana. Facing down actual attacking power. Wowie. If I draw a land here and I can Spell Pierce a Red Blast, we're just in the bank. I'm gonna attack first. See if they're getting nervous about anything. Enough to Pyroblast. Well, I guess they had Lotus Petal, so I know they don't have Pyroblast. They would have countered the Plow. So I know they don't have that. Now the question is, I think I just end the Grindstone. Like, Teferi bouncing the construct is a huge value play. But if I clear Grindstone, I don't care about Painter. That also shrinks the construct, and I can still double spell here with the Faerie. And I'm not going to try to ponder for a land. I'm already representing big beats. I've said it many times in this league, but holy moly, a 2/1 Flash Flyer, even if it doesn't draw a card ever, this is just such a dynamic change to how these decks play. Another one. Attack my opponent's life points. What is this? Oh, Silken's. These things do not fly. That's fine. You have 2/1/1 haste creatures. And you're at 2. I think it's time to drop to Faerie because I can counter Grindstone. I'm not even worried about Painter Grindstone. And clearing this construct is nice. Once the construct, draw a card. Okay, they can't tap Ancient Tomb. Mox Opal's not on because the spirits aren't artifacts. They have Mountain, Lotus Petal to play this game with. Yeah, tap the Ancient Tomb, go out like a boss. Respect. Okay, that was a little dicey, but that steady stream of 2 damage from the Faerie, it even randomly drew a card when they cracked their Soul Guide Lantern. That was awesome. Meltdown coming in, Hydroblast coming in. Containment Priest can mess with their goblins. And then Izzet Staticaster can kill Goblin Welder, but not Goblin Engineer. They can kill Silken's tokens, but they only have one of those. So I'm not going to sideboard based on that. Dress Down's great. I do find myself, for the 5th consecutive round, looking at Days Undoing and thinking that maybe Matthew had it right the first time. I've never wanted this. Just the Fairies provide so much pressure that you're winning games that traditional Jeskai needs help winning anyway. So Undoing, cutting these clunky blue 3-drops is pretty reasonable. Yeah, if I just go all the way off my Planeswalkers and just become 2/1 aggro or 2/1 tempo, depending on how you want to define aggro and tempo, and even Force of Negation can go. Yeah, I kind of like this. Just Ambush Viper theme deck. Ambush Viper theme deck, sign me up. Oh, keep my hand. Saga. This is the same game we played last game. That one wasn't on turn 1 last game. And I have kind of a decision to make here. I'm going to Prismatic Ending something, whether it's Grindstone, which they might be able to just tutor a second immediately, or if I clip this Mox Opal out from under them, it might slow down their functioning. And do I play around Magus of the Moon? If they turn to a Magus of the Moon into their turn 1 Urza Saga, they can friggin' have it, I guess. I'm going to fetch Tundra and cast Prismatic Ending on Mox Opal. So if I take out the Grindstone, it's like the Opal's not in play. Yeah, okay, that just makes more sense. Just take them off Metalcraft and remove the combo piece. I talked myself into it at the last minute. Mountain does not activate Saga, so we're on a little sad boy, no tutor, or no construct Saga. I like those. I like this handful of 1-mana interaction as well. I could Hydroblast the Welder. I could also Ending the Welder. I could Ending the Opal and Hydroblast the Welder. I could Brainstorm and then hit something. I think I'm actually going to fetch Basic Island first. Like, my hand's already great. I'm going to fetch in response to this Saga anyway. I'll grab Island, and I'm going to Hydroblast the Goblin Welder. And then we can see what comes out of this Saga, which is, by definition, going to be something that disappears to Prismatic Ending. I can force a Painter this turn. Wow, they tutored Lotus Petal. This is a person who is hurting for any action. Another Saga, okay. Opal's still not on. Whatever this 4-mana spell is getting countered. I don't even care. Okay. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. I could brainstorm in response to this, because if I can end the token and then play a fairy when they go to loot, that's actually great value. But I need a land for that play to work, so I'm going to brainstorm in response. Land is there. Teferi might even be better than Prismatic Ending. I will put Ponder and Teferi on top, or Teferi Ponder. I have to shuffle away one of these. Teferi is not better than Prismatic Ending. The Teferi lines up beautifully against the future constructs. Okay. I will keep the Teferi. I will let this spell resolve. Maybe this is greedy. Maybe it's brilliant. We'll find out together. The fetch basic planes. Shouldn't do that. I should get Plateau. Yeah, they're not going to Blood Moon me. No chance. I even have Force if somehow they do cast Blood Moon and I somehow care about it. Both of which are unlikely. I'm going to get Plateau here so I can cast my Meltdown if I draw it. The Plateau, Prismatic End, the Gobbo. They still do not have Metalcraft or the ability to activate Urza Saga. I'm going to play my Fairy in their upkeep. If they are sitting on a Red Blast, I want them to do it on their turn. Mastermind. There is no space in the rules for me to get them to commit to looting and then play Fairy. Like, they're going to see Fairies in play when they decide to loot one way or the other. We're in there. They've taken their first draw of the turn. They're floating colorless, unfloating it. Okay. Yeah, this Saga's got another turn to grow. No rush. And they did not loot. Their hand has been questionably functioning for the entire game, and then they chose not to loot with it. That's really cool. Painter. They can tutor up Grindstone next turn. If they're holding Blue Blast, it's pretty, or Red Blast is pretty powerful here. I am going to force pitching one of my fairies, though. They'd have to spend their Lotus Petal to do it, and then Teferi can show up and bounce Urza Saga this turn. Fairy get in. Once again, it would cost you Lotus Petal to get any action here. Bounce the Saga. Now I get to Ponder. I'm just going to keep fetching non-basics. I don't think they're going to moon me. Towards the Plowshare's Faerie Mastermind. Yes, let's go. And now we start winning the game. You get the Reflection. I have Plow on top of my deck for that. If that is the thing I'm worried about when it's time. Saga's back. And another Fable. Okay. That one's going to be a little bit sticky. I guess the question now is, am I more worried about Goblin Shaman or Reflection? I'm going to attack for 2. We might be able to gas up here if they copy Goblin Shaman. And if they use this Fable, I'm going to draw 2 cards. I could also just exile the Goblin Shaman now and not let them get any mana or anything going. Yeah, I'm just going to do that. If they have Fury, you got me, I guess. But Fury's going to sweep my board anyway. Come on, use the Fable. We know your hand sucks. They can't do it. They can't bring themselves to do it. If they play Painter right now, they probably win. So if they tutor Grindstone next turn, I know my top card's not helpful because I just used my Plow. Uh-oh. Oh no. Their hand was good the whole time. Secretly good hand. That's cheating. I do know my top card. I know it's not good, but I can play this Volcanic Island. I can plus on their turn. I draw 3 cards, and if there's a... I guess Plow doesn't even matter. I was supposed to attack there. I was just busy thinking about how to not die. Okay, so doing this now is very smart. That means that I can't even draw Plow next turn. All right, we've lost. I was feeling so good. They tutor their thing. They're just activating Grindstone immediately. I'll activate Faerie like it matters. Oh, this is before. Oh, this is their main phase. Okay. I just want to do this once. Okay. Yeah, they managed to scrap it out there. I felt like that one was in the bag. Maybe I got too aggro on that plow. Like I had plow that would have killed the painter, and instead I just used it on a goblin token. I thought I was smelling weakness, but they were actually doing just fine. I got a little pushy there. Important lesson, check your boxes. How do I lose this game? They play painter and then they tutor Grindstone. How do I lose this game? It does not really involve taking 2 from a goblin token and giving them a treasure. And it's tempting because they were just so constricted the whole game. I fell for it. I will keep this opening hand. It's very good. I'm gonna get a basic island and cast Ponder. Mastermind ending land. I like all this. I think I like the land the least. I showed them so many non-basics last game, they might try to moon me now. Okay, here's this jerk. He did everything blue. Alright, well, I'm gonna fetch and cast Swords to Plowshares. I think that, and I am gonna get Tundra for this. Yeah, I have Hydroblast for Moon. I don't even care. Swords to Plowshares this. If they go Spirit Guide Red Blast, I have the Blue Blast for the Red Blast. 1, 2, 3, 4. Phyrexian Dragon Engine. Yikes. I mean, that would have been better to have a plow for. But this is not a particularly scary creature. If I draw a land, I have Snap Plow. Land? No such luck. Fine, I'll do it next turn. Get a Timeless Dragon. And get another Tundra. I would like to Hydroblast if I need to this turn. I can take 4 once and then Snap Plow it next turn, and then we're done with that. Here's a Saga. Double Strike creature. Snapcaster Plow. I think I do all this now. Snap Plow has all been successful. Get rid of that. And now we have to beat this Urza Saga. I have triple Prismatic Ending. And they're playing on mono brown. But this is a game we can lose. For sure. I mean, Painter Grindstone is just a 6 mana combo. They could even do it all right now. Just land Painter Grindstone. I hope they don't. I am not prepared for that, but it's live. Passing the turn. Found a Ponder. I like that. Meltdown is good in the future. Meltdown will be good next turn. And I get both of the cards in my hand, Meltdown and Red Source. I kind of want to play Faerie with Hydroblast backup this turn. If I do that, I would have to put the Tarn in my hand now. And I can play the Faerie for sure and have options on Hydroblast backup. And if I don't have to Hydroblast, then I can Meltdown. And I'm not going to fetch. If they tutor Pithing Needle on this board and lock down my fetch, I don't even care. That's fine. I also don't have to play the Faerie if I want the Hydroblast. Oh, they didn't even float. They're just tutoring. That's a very important mana that's not in the pool right now. They just go 3rd Soul Land, Painter activate. I guess they just need any land. God damn. Ugh. Any mana source does it. They painted blue, not red. That's the correct name. And I can get a 1 more turn with Mystic Sanctuary. Or no, I can't, because the paint that would just resolve first. What the fuck am I even talking about? They had the mana source. Alright, we're dead. This game, I could have Prismatic Ending the first painter, but then I would have plowed the creature anyway, so I just have nothing here. They just shoved it down my throat and it worked. Okay, 2-3 record with this deck. I never wanted Days Undoing. It never felt good. I was cutting Narsets because they were clunky. I think I'm sure there's variation in the shell still, but Faerie Mastermind felt like the thing I wanted to do and the win condition I wanted to play towards. When you have something as efficient as this attacker with this engine attached to it, why are you adding clunky 3-drops to the deck? I'm glad we tried it just to get that out of the system, but having some efficient spells, some better removal, some backup for the fairy, rather than just a totally different, disparate thing going on in the deck. I was not impressed by our build here, but I was very impressed by the card, and I'm sure you'll see more of this on the channel moving forward. Yuta, thank you for designing this card. CTK, thanks for asking me to play the deck. Matthew Ozymandias, thank you for designing this archetype around this card. I'm excited about this. Between this and Staff of the Storyteller, it's a good time to be a blue-white wizard. I don't know that they go in the same deck, but they're two very cool new things that we get to do, and I'm looking forward to exploring them more. Everybody, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon, and I'll see you next time.